this mysterious sickness called the Havana syndrome. It's affected this small group of American diplomats and spies overseas. And now, in a new report that just came out, just within the last maybe 90 minutes or so, you've got this panel of experts working for U.S. intel agencies saying that the most likely cause is microwave energy from some kind of external source. They don't really know what that source is. The backdrop here, since late 2016, you've seen hundreds of U.S. officials in more than a dozen countries coming forward to report symptoms believed to be related to this Havana syndrome. But last month, the CIA came out and said, hey, most of these people don't actually fit the profile. A couple dozen do. That's where the mystery is, and that's what this new report is hoping to shine a light on. Ken Delaney is following the story for us. So, Ken, break this down a little bit, right? Because we're now centering on those, I think, a couple dozen diplomats, most of them related to the initial incident reporting in 2016. They get these really weird symptoms. We don't know what it is, and now these experts are saying it's probably microwave energy, which is the clearest sign yet, right? The most definitive evidence yet, or answer yet, that we have for this.
Yeah, you nailed it, Hallie. It's a little bit confusing because we've been reporting for 3 years now about hundreds of diplomats coming forward and saying they believe they have these symptoms that could be Havana syndrome. And then last month, the CIA comes out with his interim assessment that says most of those people do not fit the profile. They found alternate explanations, and it kind of poured cold water on the whole idea. But if you read it carefully, it said, hey, there are about 24 cases where we can't rule out foreign involvement. We have no idea what caused it. And those are the cases, it looks like, that this panel of experts studied very closely. And this was a panel of outside experts, scientists, technologists, and U.S. intelligence officials, and they had access to classified information. They interviewed victims, they interviewed experts, and what they concluded was the most plausible explanation is directed energy from an external source. Now, they didn't identify, as you said, they didn't identify a device, and they weren't even looking at the question of who might be responsible. But just by concluding that, hey, this is likely directed energy, they have bolstered the long-standing hypothesis by the intelligence community that this is likely the Russians, because the Russians have a history of studying this technology. Now, the problem with that, Hallie, is they've been looking for years, the spies have, and they've not come up with any evidence to point to Russia, even though CIA Director William Burns went to Moscow and warned the Russians that if they were doing this, there would be consequences. It's a real mystery. But this report does move the ball forward in the sense of saying, look, we think these symptoms are not explained by any other phenomenon. They're not psychosomatic.
Right.
That people are not making this up. They were hit by some kind of energy, and it caused real damage to them. What they have not said, though, is if this is still going on, Hallie.
You make a good point, Ken, because in the beginning, I think there was some sense, especially in interviews that I know you and our colleagues have done, talking to these folks who've been affected, that like, oh, it's all in your head. Oh, you're making it up, right? This goes a step beyond that to say, no, this is what we think happened. This is what we think caused it. And we're hearing now from, I think, some of the country's top intel officials, right? The CIA director, the National Intelligence Director.
Yeah, that's right. Now, those leaders of these agencies have to walk a fine line because they want to, project the idea that they care about their workforce, even those people who have symptoms but don't fit the profile, because this has become an all-consuming phenomenon. CIA people are turning down jobs overseas because they're concerned that they're going to be hit with some kind of microwave ray, and that's in part why the CIA released that assessment last month. They wanted to communicate, hey, there is no global campaign that we know of foreign spies hiding in the street corner trying to aim a ray at you, but there is this unexplained phenomenon. Something happened to these people. They were, one day they were healthy, the next day they were floored, and some of them have never been the same since, and now we know that the most likely cause was some kind of external energy, and now they need to solve the mystery of how did that happen, Hallie?
Ken Delaney.